Good afternoon. Continuing my video journal diary and dedication of my beloved Richard. And the horses are up eating their oats, and I just wanted Richard to know, don't worry, I'm taking care of the three horses. I am getting their oats for them, which they thoroughly enjoy. And tomorrow I have to go to Limos and get another bag of oats. Because during the day it's actually, not cold. It warms up during the day, but at night it gets very cold, and in the morning, so it's good for them to have some extra oats. And I just feel connected with Richard by taking care of the horses, because he's the one that brought these horses on the ranch, and I consider them, our horses, but they're especially Richard's horses, and I want to take good care of them. I have no idea what happened to Spring. Spring must have died right around the time that Richard died, when I was not here. And when I got home at the end of November, I knew she had died, because I couldn't find her anywhere. And there's little Schmickles. He's, munching on some green grasses. And I was really concerned, because I thought, I just knew that she died, and I had this feeling like she died when Richard died. But I thought, okay, if she died somewhere on the ranch, I would know it, because I would see, signs of it, because when the horses die, Richard always wanted them to have a natural death and to die on the ranch, and to kind of, according to the laws of nature, to let nature take its course with the body. By that I mean, there are critters that, coyotes, and you would see, the coyotes would eat the horses, the body. You have to just remember, just like I've been saying about our pets and Richard, it's just the physical body that they leave behind. That's not the horse anymore. The Spring's soul went to heaven, and I believe Richard is with all of his horses, going all the way back to childhood, and all the horses that we had that, lived their full lives, very full lives. Most of them lived all the way up to maybe 35, 37, 38 years. That's a long time for horses, and they had, the horses that lived on this ranch were in horse paradise, because they could just be free and be free to roam and on the 85 acres, without being in a pen, without being confined, without, people throwing saddles on them and that kind of thing. They just were free horses on the ranch. And but I don't know what happened to poor Spring. I thought I would see signs. I looked around. I took walks all around the ranch, down by the lake, and looked to see if I could see her remains. And I haven't. I don't know. I know she died, but I don't know where. And there was no sign anywhere. And I came home at November 20th, and I just knew that she had died, because I didn't see her with the other horses. She always stayed with these three horses. When they start to get real old, they do sort of part ways with the other horses, and they're kind of a little bit on their own. But she always stayed close by with the three horses, and So I knew something had happened to her. I knew that she had died, and I looked for signs. Like usually when you see the remains, you'll see, turkey vultures flying around, some kind of sign. And I just haven't. I haven't seen any sign. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I almost feel like, okay, she flew up to heaven with Richard, not just her soul, but her whole body. I don't know. It's just a mystery to me, on what happened to her. But I know she's in a good place now. She's happy. And I know Richard is happy. I know he's free from any pain and all the worries and all the responsibilities. And I sometimes really envy him. I think, you were the lucky one, Richard, because, I'm trying to carry on with the ranch responsibilities, and I'm getting bills that are coming in and things that he always took care of. And it's the first time that I've had to be concerned about these things. Okay, I got to get the propane. When it gets down to 30, I got to call, make sure the propane is filled. These are all things that he took care of. I got to make sure that I can change the filters, which I learned how to do, feed the horses, and just take care and manage things best I can. And but at the same time, I just as time goes by, it honestly, it just doesn't make it better. It doesn't. I still cannot believe that he's gone. I can't stand the empty house. It's just so hard. The silence is just so hard. Because, he had his, we had our routine that we had together, and I would make dinner for him, and we would watch movies together, and I'm just trying to do what I can to function. I feel like I'm just going through the motions, and I listened to these videos today. I listened to one of these mediums that I really like. This young woman, I think she really is a true medium, and she talks about the experiences she has of connecting with those that have passed on. And I know some of you are thinking, that stuff, that just sounds like bunkers, trying to get, a way of attention, and there are phonies out there. There's no doubt about that. But I think I pretty much know how to discriminate between the phonies and the ones that really have some real and true connection with the spirit world and with those that have passed on. And I've been listening to her when she doesn't do many videos, but once in a while she'll come on, and when something extraordinary happens, she'll ask the parents or whoever had asked her to try to connect. Like in this last video, the mother was wanting to connect with her daughter that passed away, and she described in detail some things that just, there was no other way. The mother never told her anything about some of the things that came into her mind, and there was just no other way that you could explain it other than really connecting with her daughter. And she talked about how the daughter came through to her and spoke about her love and joy of life, and her main message was try to appreciate the beauty in nature, appreciate the beauty, and live a life in joy. And, stay away from anything that is just negative, problematic. And I thought about that because I had always been involved in politics from the time I was 16 years old. I was a political animal. Richard can verify that. I was a very, very loyal Democrat from the time I was 18, and then I saw how my party changed, and it happened under President Obama, and I didn't like the changes. It didn't seem to make sense to me. It seemed like they just no longer abided by their platform principles, and so I got very much involved in politics when I was a Democrat, and my principles stayed the same. I was opposed to wars. That's what brought me into politics. I thought there was always some way to work things out without killing thousands and thousands of people and disrupting millions of people's lives. I knew that war was a way of certain people making profits off of it from the weapon industry and so on. And I used to write about that from like 2004 all the way up to like 2000, all the way up until like around 2020 or so. I wrote for many liberal journals, but I left the Democrat Party because they just seemed like they had been taken over by foreign enemies of the United States and Israel. And that's when I thought, I can't support this party anymore. My values don't coincide with whatever it is that they're doing. And I think the media also has been bought by investors of foreign enemies of the United States and Israel. And so I just came to this transformation after Richard died, where I don't want to hear anything about politics anymore. I just don't. And I realized that, from the time man walked on the earth, from the time Jesus walked on the earth, things were always screwed up in the world, okay? There will always be wars. There will always be people in conflict and fighting and doing horrible things. And there's not anything you can do about it. That's the conclusion I came to after Richard died. There's nothing I can do about, those who are in control of starting wars and doing things that are just completely morally wrong. The only thing that you can do, and this was one of the message that Amber was conveying by getting in contact with the daughter that passed away, on saying, find joy in your life and appreciate the beauty. Whenever you see beauty, appreciate it, be grateful, and live in that beauty and live in that joy. And it made sense to me because I realized if you read all the great sages, going back to Plato, Socrates, the Buddha, Tao, they all said that if you really want to change the world, start with yourself. Start with yourself, and that's how you change it. Begin by changing yourself. Be kind to others. Try to learn how to be a person of kindness and compassion, and, you know, just do what you can to become enlightened. Do what you can to become evolved. Take the steps that you need to take through meditation, or just sitting in nature quietly, or just enjoying the horses grazing in the grass, being with your dog, and just try to start with yourself. That's like one of the first things that is expressed in the Tao. You know, the longest journey begins with your first step. And I had forgotten about that because I had been a person that thought, no, I can make changes by being involved in politics. You know, I can write these commentaries and it will make a difference. And maybe they did. You know, it was my way of contributing, of, you know, things that I thought the government was doing wrong, especially when it came to wars. And I have always been a huge, huge defender of our Bill of Rights. And I saw how my own party that I left, the Democrat Party, was, you know, taking a Mack truck and just running over those rights. They just didn't adhere to them at all. And it was Martin Luther King's birthday Monday yesterday, and I was thinking, yeah, there you go. You know, there's the difference with the Democrat Party now. They don't. I know this is a strong word to use, but they despise Martin Luther King now under Barack Obama. They despise him for one reason. Martin Luther King Jr. expressed very strongly, do not judge people by the color of their skin. Judge them by the content of their character. And everybody is very strongly aware of that famous statement that Martin Luther King made. And when Obama got in, he turned it around. Judge people by the color of their skin. You know, make sure that they can get hired by the color of their skin, not by merit, not by, you know, their education, but strictly by the color of their skin. And that's why the new Democrats under Obama, they don't care so much for Martin Luther King. They don't. They might pretend to, but that is the main reason. They wanted the judgment to be placed on the color of the skin, which is ridiculous, you know? I mean, that is just so backward and taking us back 1,000,000 years ago instead of taking us forward to a place where we are all one. We're all human beings. Let's just start there, you know? And Obama didn't want that. Oh, no. No. He wanted division, and he wanted division between whites and blacks. And the Democrat Party all fell in line with all of that, starting with that whole George Floyd thing. That was all about judging on the basis of the color of the skin, you know. It's a backward way of looking at where we should be going spiritually. And Martin Luther King was way ahead of his time. And I'm telling you, he's probably, you know, rolling in his grave over, you know, how that got twisted around back to, you know, judging people on the color of their skin and making people that are white, making them feel badly for being white. I mean, this is just stupid. The whole point of living in peace and bringing peace in this world is by judging people by the content of their character and trying to forget about these prejudices. Just, you know, these prejudices get in the way, and we all have to see one another as we're all trying to do the best we can and try to live with one another the best we can, peacefully and with a sense of consideration and respect. And so I just don't want to go down the path anymore of listening to current politics. That's all I have to say about it. And I used to be addicted to listening to my favorite political shows. No, I'm not. I started to listen to a couple of them, including one that Victor Davis Hanson. I truly respect him, but I started to listen to some of his videos, and I just had to turn it off because something changed in me after Richard passed. And I realized that what's important is trying to live a moral and spiritual life, and trying to find beauty in this life, and making some connection with Richard from a spiritual perspective, in a spiritual way. And that's my journey now. That's my path, and I want to get back to just living a spiritual life. And the world is always going to be messed up. It just is. And all we can do is try to work on ourselves. Start with ourselves first. And I really appreciated the message that Amber conveyed by connecting with the young woman, the young girl that passed away. And this was one of her messages that she wanted people to know. She said, I'm a spiritual influencer, the girl that had passed away. This was the message that came through to Amber telepathically, that let people know that I am a spiritual influencer and want people to be more engaged with living a life of joy and seeing the beauty every moment of your life. And there are so many beautiful moments, and we just need to pay attention to them. And you don't even have to sit down in meditation or do yoga. Just pay attention to the moments of beauty, and that will bring you connected to, as Richard put it, the big boy. All right, have a good one, you guys.